Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. And I want to say thank you so much to those of you who come by every morning at 9 a.m., Monday through Friday, and play with me and just enjoy this game. So we are here to say some nice stuff about ourselves. We're going to be working with and this deck of positive affirmations. I know because I wrote them myself, and just really excited to just lead us through something good to say. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card. And you're going to respond, "I am the affirmation on the card," and then we are going to work through that together. So let's have some fun by pulling a card and saying that today I am driven. I am driven. My core values motivate me. So I am driven. My core values motivate me. Are you driven? You are driven. Your core values motivate you as well. I'm going to write that down in the chat. And as I do, I am bringing it into the world. I am manifesting that thought into this reality. It was just a thought in my head. Well, first of all, it was just written down on a card that I hadn't even seen yet, except when I made it. But it was just written down on a card that you hadn't even seen yet, and then it was being shown on some pixels on your screen, and then it was and then it showed up in my world, and then I said it, and then it entered the vibration of this world because I took those symbols off the paper and put them into put them into the air, and then now it exists on the internet. It exists as a comment which can be seen by anybody, responded to by anybody, that we are driven, that our core values do motivate us. And as we go through today, it's so important to know that the things which we value have informed our decisions for our whole lives, whether we understand it or not. The things that are important to us inform our habits, inform our decisions, inform the way that our environment looks, inform the people that we hang out with. There are so many things which are influenced by our core values, and most people have never even considered what those are. I recall that back when I was in the church planting world, that we did we read a book that was really all about core values and trying to understand what those were. And I recognized that I had never considered it before. I had never thought about what it was that truly motivated me. I had ideas about what it was, but in the end, my core values at the end of the class were very different than the ones at the beginning because I had examined them in depth for a couple of months. And so when I realized what those were, it helped me to make better choices about how to be and who to associate myself with, where to be physically located. These are choices and decisions that have a tremendous impact on our lives that we don't even think about. I mean, consider that, like, if you want to be successful in the tech world, well, you're going to be much more successful if you go to Silicon Valley to be in the tech world. Or if you want to be successful in like finance, then it's important to go to New York. It's important to go to London. It's important to surround ourselves with other people who are doing these things that we want to do. And so we are driven by these core values. So many people who haven't considered what their core values are driven by the vagaries of day-to-day existence. They are driven by the reactivity. Something happens and so they respond, and then something else happens and they respond, and ultimately so many people unfortunately run around this world like a chicken with their head cut off because they didn't really ever consider what motivated them. And so this card is our permission slip today to take a look at what we're doing, take a look at who we're hanging out with, take a consider what do we own, where do we live, why, and make choices based on our core values rather than on what's happening today right now. And I'm very blessed to be surrounded by people who have a strong sense of self, a strong sense of core values. I see you there, Lauren. Good morning. I see you, Brenda Jean. Good morning. And it's so important to me to be surrounded by these folks, to be surrounded by the people who make choices based on who they are and not based on, well, what's happening right now. So this is uh, this is just really important. It's very important to me. So I am driven today, and you are driven too. And so let's go through today with a sense of who we are and really share who we are with other people and let them understand through our actions what we stand for and what's important to us, not just our words. Brenda Jean says environment design is core values in action. You darn right they are. It's so true. What we surround ourselves with is uh, is absolutely the is absolutely indicative of our core values. In fact, I would argue that our environment is a trailing indicator of what we value. And if do we live in a messy space, it's because we don't really value keeping things clean and organized in that moment. It's and having one thing that's a little bit messy is not uncommon. A lot of people have, the houses have that lived in look, right? Nobody lives in a Better Homes and Gardens house. Having a home that's perpetually messy or dirty or disorganized is symptomatic of a larger issue, and it only shows up after a while. It doesn't show up immediately. I remember that when I first started to really pay attention to my environment, it was because I was living in Costa Rica at the time, and I really nobody had ever told me about self development. Nobody had ever told me that I was the master of my own fate, or nobody had ever told me that I was the one who was ultimately in control of my own life. This is something I think that all children should be told eventually, but that it never did happen for me. And so I recall that I owned three vehicles, and I couldn't find the keys for any of them because I was so disorganized. I mean, I was living in a little room behind a restaurant that I owned, and I literally couldn't find any of my keys. I knew all of my keys were in that little room. I couldn't find a single set of them, and I needed to go buy something for my restaurant at the, like go buy some milk or something like that, and I couldn't find any of my keys, so I had to hop on the bus, and it took me 2.5 hours to go get this item. By the time that I got back, it was late in the day, and it was kind of irrelevant. And I was so frustrated that I pounded a nail into the wall, and I said, "When I find my keys, they're going up on that nail." And I pounded a couple nails into the wall. I said, "I have three sets of keys, and they're all going to go up on these nails as soon as I find them." And I tore that room apart looking for those keys. And when I finally did find those keys, I stuck them up on the nail, and I said, I'm going to continue this trend. I'm going to continue to only have the things in my life which benefit me, and also to make sure that everything has a place. That was the very beginning of it, the beginning of my own environment design, and it was uh, it was indicative of what I would later come to understand was, one of my personal values was just efficiency in movement, efficiency in uh, in space, in spatial design. So I am driven today, and I am driven today to really be excellent at everything that I do. Excellence is one of my values and one of my core values. I believe that if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And so I'm really excited to do that today. At 9 p.m. tonight, I will be doing Nightfall with Maui Paul, and we will be talking about this card and how it manifested in our lives. Until then, I just want to leave you with a reminder that you're awesome and that you're going to have a great day, and that I like you exactly the way that you are, and that I believe in you, and that I know that this card will manifest in your life today too, and that you can believe it too. So thanks again for having some fun with me. I will see you at 9 p.m. tonight. Until then, aloha from paradise.